Hi Susie, Professor Ball here. How's it going? Good, I hope. So let's look at paper number 3. The first thing that I look at is MLA format. And I see here you have your last name and page number, although it should be Martinez space 1. Your name, my name, there's no E there. The class and the date. You do need a creative title here. One that isn't Afghan Children on a Long Journey. You need your own creative title. All right. What was your childhood like? We remember the fights with our siblings, the friends we had at school, probably question mark, capital O, our neighbor's children that we would play with after school, question mark. For most of us, comma, we were raised in pretty safe environments with our only concern being that we had to share our toys with our siblings or going to school. Imagine at the age of 9 worrying if you were going to make it through the day, fearing for your life, your family's lives, not really knowing what tomorrow will bring. In this segment of 60 Minutes with correspondent Anderson Cooper, Afghan Children on a Long Journey and Perilous Journey informs us just that, the journey that thousands of Afghanistan children make for a better life. So I like that you're trying to engage the reader, you're offering something to grab our attention, you get a little more specific here by introducing the video. Be careful with the word you and your, and I don't know if I've said this before for you, but that's second person point of view, and it's not horrible, but you're making a direct connection to the reader, and it may not always be correct. And just take a look at this. So, for example, imagine at the age of 9 worrying if a child was going to make it through the day, fearing for their lives, their family's lives, and not really knowing what tomorrow will bring. Something along those lines. And then what you need here is your thesis, which is how Anderson Cooper does the video. Does he use visuals? Does he use statistics? Does he interview people? What is his purpose? What is his audience? Who is his tone? What is his tone? When Afghanistan or any Middle Eastern country is brought up, comma, all we can associate with that is war. In the 12 years that the United States Armed Forces has been fighting in Afghanistan, comma, we have learned so much about the war and why it is that we are in this fight. What do we know about Afghanistan, comma, about the life of an ordinary Afghanistan citizen? You could probably break these up with question marks, about their poverty, their fear of the Taliban. Not many of us can honestly say that we know much about this country. Other than what we have seen on television, and most of that are in regards to the Taliban, comma, those individuals making this country impossible to live in. This is fine. This sounds like the intro. I think this is better than this because, after this paragraph, it could be in the segment of 60 Minutes. Did I say this was italics? Hold on. This isn't italics because it's the title of the TV show. The purpose of the segment from 60 Minutes was to inform us on a more serious outcome of war in Afghanistan. Thousands of children are forced to escape their home country in hopes of finding a better life and, comma, in general, comma, to be able to live. A dangerous journey of 10,000 miles across 6 mountain ranges and 2 seas. This journey can take years for children to complete. The correspondent gives actual numbers on how far the journey is from Afghanistan to Europe, comma, which is where many of these children are trying to go. There were scenes throughout the segment of groups of boys, that's weird, of groups of boys seen sleeping at bus stops, tired and hungry roaming around Europe. These children can be as young as 9 years of age, embarking on what is known as a more dangerous journey than actually seen in Afghanistan. There were some boys interviewed at the beginning of the segment, not giving their names right away. The reasoning behind them leaving their home country was similar. Probably colon, because you're about to define what that similarity is. We have no future here. It's not safe. So I'm glad you're using the ellipses or the ... That tells me that there is more information here, but you really don't need it, so you're just taking it out. It should be 3 dots, and because you're continuing the quotation, you don't need the marks here or here. It's not safe. The punctuation goes inside. These children would rather risk their lives attempting to escape the war by being smuggled are attempting to make this journey on their own. So you start this paragraph well because you're going to talk about the purpose. But then what you do is you bring up a couple things that could be its own paragraph, because the rule of thumb with college writing is one idea per paragraph. The use of statistics could be one paragraph. The visuals or the scenes where you see these kids sleeping at the bus stops, that could be a paragraph. The boys being interviewed or the use of interviews, that could be a paragraph. So what you have then is those three things are what I was talking about with the thesis statement, meaning one way that, well, the way that Anderson Cooper makes for an interesting video is his use of interviews, is his use of visuals, is his use of statistics. So keep that in mind. Okay? So, going back. Okay. Children would work months, sometimes up to years, in order to pay the outstanding fee of up to $15,000 to be smuggled into Europe. Even at that moment that they make the money to pay the smugglers, that doesn't mean the danger is over. Some might think choosing a smuggler to bring them into Europe might be easier and safer to do, but little do the boys that choose this know how much dangerous this can be. I know where this is going. No. Some smugglers would sexually abuse these boys, beat them, and threaten to kill them. Ali Hassan, one of the boys that chose to be smuggled into Europe, tells this story. His journey to Europe took 4 years. Wow. At one point, I was transported in a refrigerated van. I stayed 2 days, 2 nights, and 4 hours. By the end of day 2, I was frozen, unable to move my arms or turn my head. Along with other Afghan boys, I would get beat by the smugglers, daily being threatened to be killed, maybe. This is awkward because it sounds like it's still the quotation. Period. The capital T. The correspondent asks, capital D, did you believe them? Hassan replied, I was 15 years old, period. They were men with big knives and guns. Space, ellipses, space, of course I believed them. The smugglers would threaten the boys that if they killed them right there in the middle of nowhere, nobody would know of it. Which was very true. And if you're going to tell me what the truth is, : Smugglers knew the right path to take where it wouldn't be very highly populated, so there would be very little that others could do to help the boys if they were in danger. The beatings from the smugglers were not the worst thing that could happen to these boys, period. Some were sexually abused and some were kept as sexual slaves. Just a little side note, have you ever read the book The Kite Runner? This is part of the book and it's really good. Kite, K-I-T-E. Some smugglers chose to smuggle the children across the sea in small boats. Children that do not know how to swim, many lost their lives like this, lifeless bodies washing up to the beaches of Greece. So this is a fragment too. Some smugglers chose to smuggle the children across the seas in small boats, and these children do not know how to swim, period. Many lost their lives like this, with their lifeless bodies washing up to the beaches of Greece. Okay, so in this paragraph here, you were giving me the elements of Cooper's video, but by this point, you're just telling me about the video. This is not analysis. So take a look at that pie handout again, and that is from summary to analysis. Okay, so here you have just a wrap-up of the video, and that's not an effective conclusion, because your conclusion should wrap up what it was that you were talking about and or analyze. And what I mean by that is talking about Cooper's use of visuals, of interviews, of statistics. Okay? So you are kind of missing, not kind of, you are missing the point of the prompt. The other thing that you're missing, and if you look at the prompt itself, number 6 on the prompt talks about a little bit of research that I asked you to do, basic research through the library databases to look for something that discusses the children of Afghanistan and trying to get to Europe. It's not in the video that I posted, but I mentioned it in a couple of announcements and in the prompt, I believe. Well, I know I mentioned it in the prompt, so you're missing that as well. If I look at your Works Cited page, correct Cooper Anderson. This would be in quotation marks because it's a part of 60 Minutes. So quotation marks, children on a long perilous journey, period. 60 Minutes would be in italics. Then you'd have the date that it was done, the URL, you would tab over and start it here, the URL, and the date accessed. All right. So you are allowed to revise one paper. This may be it. I'm not really sure what your other essays grades were, but let me know if you have any questions. All right. Thanks.